Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited today that you are here because today we are diving into one of my favorite topic, that is composting. Now I have been composting for past 6 years. I have had static bins, tumbler composting, and I have been playing with worms and I love it. But I know starting out can be a little bit overwhelming. And that's why today's episode is a bit different. Today we have brought in a special guest who will help us dig out all the real and raw questions about composting. Whether you are exploring about which bin to start with, which bin to buy, or why my compost pile suddenly smells like a rotten pile, we are covering it all. So grab a coffee and let's do it. I'm thrilled to introduce Swati. Swati is a massive compost enthusiast. She has been doing her homework, reading up, exploring all different options, and gaining all the knowledge from everywhere. Now she is all ready to start her journey, but she has some brilliant questions that I know a lot of you want to know as well. Welcome Swati, welcome to my channel.
Thank you so much, Pratika, for your time. I really appreciate that and for taking all my questions because I've got a huge list of questions for you.
Well, I am all ready for you to drill me
Okay.
with your questions.
So, shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I want to understand, I know I've attended a lot of your workshops. I know what is composting, but for my benefit and for the benefit of viewers, I would like to understand what actually is composting.
Well, composting is nothing but a way to recycle your organic waste. You can make organic fertilizer from your kitchen waste, brown leaves, and that is called composting. That is very simple.
But what are the benefits?
Yeah, so benefits of composting, if we see, first of all, it is giving you organic fertilizer. It is for your own benefit that you can add to your garden, right? And it is also beneficial for the environment because whatever kitchen waste you are using to create the organic fertilizer, it is not going to landfill. So it is a win-win situation. The kitchen waste is not going to landfill and you are gaining your organic fertilizer.
So even if the waste is going to landfill, it's creating fertilizer over there, right?
Well, it's not fertilizer. It is because first of all, it is not in controlled conditions. It is sometimes it's inside black bags that is anaerobic and produces lot of gases, harmful gases, methane, carbon dioxide. So all those gases are not good and also it creates leachate. So instead of creating fertilizer, it creates pollution. The leachate goes to ocean water and the air, that gases, harmful gases just pollute our air, right? So at home when we put all this kitchen waste, kitchen resources I should say, all the peels etc. in controlled condition, then we get organic fertilizer and that is what is composting.
Okay. Can you talk about what are different types of composting? Maybe in a nutshell, if you can explain every different types of composting and then we can go further into details into each and every one.
Yeah, well, if we say we can divide it into two parts, anaerobic composting or aerobic composting, right? Okay. At home, mostly we do the aerobic composting. Aerobic, it is clear from the name, aerobic is with air and anaerobic is without air. Okay. So in aerobic composting, we put all the material in the presence of oxygen and those microbial organisms, they just convert the kitchen waste into organic fertilizer in the presence of oxygen. While in the anaerobic composting, it is in an enclosed environment, maybe in a bucket or where there is no air, and there also we have microbial organisms, but they are different. They thrive without oxygen.
Okay.
So, but that is that gives you a lot of odor, and lot of people don't like it. Lot of people go for the aerobic composting.
Which one do you think is the best to kind of use?
Well, I have seen people doing most type. Like one of the anaerobic type is bokashi. I have never tried it yet, but I have seen people doing that as well at home. But I think most popular is aerobic composting that mostly we do in our backyards. Whatever containers we use, they should have holes for oxygen, for air, etc.
Okay. Is vermicomposting, does that come under anaerobic composting?
Well, vermicomposting, so we use worms there, right? And worms need oxygen,
Yes,
so
so
that cannot be
obviously it
anaerobic.
cannot be.
So
Okay.
vermicomposting is generally done indoor, and in a bin we have worms. So that bin should have a lot of holes for worms to breathe in and survive. So that is one of the aerobic composting.
Can anaerobic composting, can that be done at home?
For sure. I mean, as I just
But it's going to smell.
mentioned the
but-
bokashi composting, right? That is an indoor method, and that can be done. I have not much experience with bokashi,
Okay.
but yeah, that can be done.
That can be
as
done.
well.
Okay. What are the difference between electric composter and traditional? Because I've seen a lot of YouTube channels and also on Amazon that electric composting is there, and I've read a little bit about that. That you keep your stuff, and within probably 24 hours, or maybe I think that's too long, maybe 8 to 10 hours, you get compost. So can you talk a little bit about electric composting and traditional composting?
So let me first talk about electric composting. Lot of people see those advertisements on
Yeah.
internet, etc., and they get fascinated. Wow, this is such an easy method.
Exactly.
But I have not seen anyone actually using it yet. Maybe some people are using it. Maybe the number one reason is it is expensive, $700-800. Nobody wants to spend upfront, right?
Yes.
Number two is although it might convert your kitchen waste under 24 hours, but it becomes a chorus for you to deal with your waste every week, right? You have to put into the electric composter and then take it out and store somewhere. You will do something with that organic fertilizer, whatever you are getting, right? Versus in traditional composting, you simply dump your material outside in the backyard bin, and that's it. You don't deal with it every now and then, right? So regularly you don't have to deal with it.
Okay.
So I have heard about this, but I don't get fascinated.
Okay. So you've kind of touched base on the advantages that the composting, it kind of helps you save the environment. You don't have to throw the pile out because then it leaches. There's a lot of mixture of black poly bags and all of those things. What are the disadvantages? Can you talk about maybe if there are any disadvantages of composting, or maybe a different type of composting, if there are any disadvantages, if you can talk about that?
So, well, I would not say disadvantages. Composting cannot be disadvantageous because it only benefits everyone, like individual and the environment. There might be some inconveniences that people experience. That's why they don't go for composting, because throwing your waste into your city bin is easy. And composting at home is a little bit, you have to do some work on your own. That's why people don't do it, right? So yeah, that is the reason. But there are no disadvantages with any kind of composting.
Okay. So if someone has to start composting, so can you tell me, do they need one bin or two bin, or or they can just throw the pile out? Like, how do they start? I mean, what is the starting point?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, it is the most basic question, how to start with composting, right? You also want to start composting for a long time, but debating how to do it,
exactly.
right? So there are tons of methods. People just have some piles in their backyard or dig in some pit and start dumping their material in there. But maybe here we should talk about those methods that are easy to start for anyone, and that I also have experience with. So maybe I will talk about static bin composting, tumbler composting, and vermicomposting. These three are most popular methods, and I have seen a lot of people following these methods, and these are easy to start with and good for the urban areas as well, and can be done indoor, outdoor. We can take them one by one.
Okay.
For example, static bin composting, right? You have a backyard, right? You simply take a very big bin, and it is an aerobic composting. So your bin has a lot of holes for the air, right? And you just set it beside your vegetable garden, and then that's it. So it is open from both ends. At the bottom it is set on the dirt, on the ground.
So the base is, there's nothing in the base.
There is nothing, no plastic in the
No plastic base
Yeah,
at
it
all.
is open.
Okay, it's open.
And
Okay.
if there might be some composter that have some base, there should be drainage holes. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But some of the popular ones like soil saver, earth bin, they are completely open from the bottom. You can just put it on the earth. And that's it. Then you start dumping in your brown leaves and kitchen waste. We'll talk more about the ingredients later. You just add in all those things and turn it from time to time to add some air, and that's it. And add some water to maintain the moisture. So it is so easy. So this is static bin composting.
Okay.
Right? You have a bin. The other method is tumbler composting.
Okay.
So tumbler come in here. We have in one picture as
of
well.
tumbler. Okay.
So
And
you
this
can
is static bin.
yeah, that
Static
is the
bin.
static bin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in tumbler composting, you simply rotate to add the air. You just rotate it.
It also has holes in it, so for
Yeah.
the air to go in.
Yes.
Okay.
So tumbler also has holes, and it is exactly same. You put it in your backyard anywhere, and just add lot of brown leaves and start adding your kitchen waste and add water. That's it.
So when you talk about vermicomposting, because the third one is vermicomposting, so you do this inside your house, or you can also keep this outside?
So well, vermicomposting is an indoor method.
Okay, it's not an outdoor.
It can be done outdoor in summer. So for worms need same temperature as we need to thrive in, to live in, to survive, right? That is 15 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius temperature is good. So that's why in winter they cannot survive outside. We have to do it indoor. But in summer you can take it outdoor. But I have not seen people taking it outdoor because it's kind of meant to stay in, because you just think of the whole year and just keep doing it same way. Yeah.
So you punch holes. I see that you have punched holes on that, right? So you said that you can actually keep it outside, but what if it is raining? Then you have to bring it in.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So it cannot be kept outside.
So in let me explain a little bit how vermicomposting can be started and what you need to do to maintain it. First of all, you can take a small bin. Now I'm talking about a small bin because this is easy to start, and I have experience with this as well. But otherwise there are vermicomposting towers that lot of people can buy from stores. Let's not talk about it. Let's start small.
Yeah.
So you take a bin. It is closed from the bottom because you're keeping it indoor.
Indoor, okay.
You dig in some hole on the sides and on the top. Well, if your bin is very small, only the top bins are fine.
Okay.
For example, I started with the shoe box. The shoe box is very small, right? So just some holes on the top, and then you fill your box almost 2/3 with shredded paper.
Okay.
And then you soak this in the water.
The papers.
Like you put lot of water in the bin, and then the paper is soaked, shredded paper is soaked.
But it should not be dripping.
It should not be dripping. The consistency should be like when you are feeling it, squeezing it in, water should not drip out.
Okay, okay.
So you should just feel it soggy but not dripping out.
Okay.
So in that paper, then you can add some soil if you want, but it is optional.
Okay.
Yeah, in the indoor bin, but not the chemical treated soil, pure soil you should put, because we will be putting in worms later. And then wherever you have gotten your worms from, you just add those worms in the bin and start adding your kitchen waste. For example, banana peels, apple core, etc. So, and because it depends how much worms you have, worms can consume almost half the amount of their weight every day. So if you have just 2 or 3 worms, just add 1 banana peel. If you have lot of worms, you can add lot of material on one side, and let's keep going.
Okay. Yeah. I'll talk more about the material for that, once we, come to that material portion of this interview. Couple of questions more about this vermicomposting is that, if you put holes on the side, do you think worms can come out? from those holes, or if they can come up from the top? Do they come out?
That's a great question. They can not only come from out, they can also come from up.
Yeah,
From
exactly. Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
So if they have food inside,
Yeah.
if they have enough moisture inside, they love to stay in dark and cozy, dark and warm place.
Okay, so you keep it in dark place.
Yeah.
They will not
If
come
you
out.
open the bin and there is a lot of sunlight, they start digging into the inside. They
Going
don't
inside.
like light.
They don't
so
like
they don't
light.
want to come
Okay.
out. Yeah.
What kind of worms do you use? Because when it was raining few days back, it's been raining for almost the whole month in June. There are a lot of earthworms that I've seen. Can we use those earthworms for composting?
Yeah, well, those worms are meant for outside, and they don't
Outside composting, kind of.
outside composting.
Like natural.
You can put in. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are natural.
Yeah.
For outdoor composting, we do not necessarily need worms, but yeah, they do their own natural composting.
Natural composting. Yeah.
For indoor composting, for this kind of bin, we need red wigglers.
Red wigglers.
Yeah. So you can get it from your friend or who is already composting, and you can also buy it from stores. Some stores I have seen selling these red wigglers.
Which stores would you recommend?
Well, it might be Amazon, Costco. I have heard,
okay.
because I have never done that. So
Okay, okay.
yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so like if in case I'm composting outside, like I'm kind of interested in tumbler composting, which is the best spot to keep? Because do they actually require sunlight? Because I was thinking of keeping it in the side, where there's not too much traffic, but that side of my house doesn't get too much sun. So, which is the best place to keep?
Which
a
is
bin?
good. So too much sun is not good for compost.
Okay.
Sun is good to keep it heated and all that, but too much sun dries the material too fast, and it doesn't stay moist, and it does not retain water.
So you have to
shade
keep
is
adding
better.
water.
Yeah,
Okay.
shade is better because you have to add water and moisture into your material. If your material is not wet, it will not decompose, right? It will just stay as is forever.
So where a question just popped up. So when you keep the tumbler or the static bin, do you keep the top open for the sun to come in or maybe the rain to come in? Because everything is closed. There might be holes, but through holes it's not getting too much sun. So do you have to keep it open?
You don't have to do anything, first of all.
Okay,
Everything is optional.
Okay.
So for static bin, we do have a lid to keep it away from pests, critters, etc. We keep it closed.
You always keep it
But
closed,
some
okay.
people keep their compost like 24/7, 365 days open. They don't just care about it. So,
Okay.
but
doesn't
let's
matter.
talk about
Okay.
this one. If you have a lid and it is closed, when it's raining, you can actually open the lid so that it can take lot of rain, and water is very good for compost because you need to keep your material moist for the decomposition. And whenever you see 2-3 days rain and you see your material, you will just be surprised how this is decomposing and converting into black material.
So you had kept your lid open when it was raining?
Whenever it rains, even if I'm sleeping at night, it is 12 o'clock and I see, oh my God, it's raining and my lid is closed, I would go outside and open it so that it can take everything in.
So if in case it's not raining, it's been a dry weather, so you just come and then you water inside. You have to water it regularly.
Yeah. Every third day or seven. Just like in summer, just like you water your garden, you should water your compost as well.
So how large should a compost pile be?
So how large? So let me first talk about two different type of composting: cold composting and hot composting.
Okay.
For hot composting, the pile has to be large, at least 3 by 3 by 3, 300 liter big bin, just like soil saver. So inside that, once it is full and lot of kitchen waste is there, the pile heats up and microorganisms work in there in that heated environment, and so 300 liters something. But if you have a small pile, it will not be heated composting, it will not be hot composting, it will still decompose, and but it will be cold composting.
So I'm just trying to understand. So hot composting is basically the pile should be big, and
Yes.
cold composting pile is small. So is both composting done hot and heat and cold outside?
Yeah, this is outside. So your pile is big or your bin is big, it will heat up and it is hot composting.
Okay.
But even in that pile, if you are not turning a lot, if your nitrogen material is not enough, you have more carbon material, like more dry material, then again it will not heat up. But the cold composting is a bit slower than hot composting, but it still decomposes. And I have never seen my own pile heated up because I call my composting lazy composting. I don't do a lot of work in there. I simply dump in my material in right proportion that's needed, and once in a while I turn in. So still it decomposes.
So
But
hot
it takes
and
more time.
so what my understanding is, hot and cold composting depends upon the amount of pile that you have. If you don't
Amount
have,
of-
so are you talking about, when you talk about pile, are you talking about the brown pile or the green pile?
So first of all, we'll talk about the recipe. Like both should be 50%, 50-50, right?
Okay.
50% green and 50% brown. But if your wet material, nitrogen material is more, then it heats up faster.
Oh, okay, okay. So
Right.
that becomes hot composting.
Yeah, but
okay.
when I'm talking about big pile, it is overall size of the pile. If the
Okay.
pile is small in a bucket, it will never heat up.
So what about tumbler composting? Will it come under hot composting or cold composting? Because it's small, it's
Yeah,
not
it
big.
is smaller. It will not heat up, but
It'll
it
not
will
heat.
still
It'll
compost.
so that will be a cold composting.
Yeah.
Okay. If nitrogen level is high, that is
More heated.
more heated. So it's hot composting. If it is low, then it becomes cold composting. Okay. That is what I wanted to understand the difference. Okay. Okay. If I don't have a backyard, or if someone is living in an apartment, how do they compost? Can they do it inside their apartment?
Yeah, we talked about the vermicomposting.
Yeah,
right?
so that is the only option they
or
have.
bokashi, different methods. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's the only
But this
option
type
there.
of method that we do in backyard is not recommended to do indoor because it is messy and can be little bit smelly as
Not
well.
even tumbler.
Not even tumbler.
Okay.
Because it is messy, it has holes for drainage,
Yeah.
and
Okay,
you don't
so it
want
drains-
to see that
yeah, you don't want
drainage
to see
material
that.
even in garage or at
Okay.
home. Right?
Okay. So option
So
is less.
indoor vermicomposting, and this is clean and closed method. You keep it under the dining table or under sink, and it does not smell at all.
How much compost can you get out of vermicomposting if you're doing it inside?
So it depends on your size of your box
Okay.
and number of worms, right?
Okay.
You keep adding. One day your bin will be full,
Okay.
depending on how many worms you have, how much material you are adding. Maybe in 2 months it is full, and you can harvest that compost.
Okay.
Every 2 months you can harvest, or every 3 months, whatever.
Do I have to add dirt to my compost piles?
So indoor composting, I mentioned you can
you
add
have
dirt or not. Actually,
It
dirt
depends.
is good.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends. But dirt is good. Worms love it to crawl on dirt. It gives them some grit to be mobile. Right?
okay.
Yeah. For outdoor composting, the static bin is anyway on the over the dirt.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So dirt gives you some, inoculator to speed up your composting process.
Okay.
And in tumbler composting, you can add dirt.
Add dirt or
It's
not.
again optional.
It's okay. Okay. So do I require to cover the compost pile? I think you did mention that before that, I mean, if it is raining, leave it open.
Yeah.
If it is really sunny, maybe just leave it open for 1 hour so that it can get some sun and so that it can start working, and then you can close it. So totally depends upon the weather, whether you want to. And if you want to keep it closed all the time, you can keep it closed all the time, and you can keep checking once a week. Whether it's dry, then add little water, and
Some
that
people
kind of
don't
thing.
like the sight of compost all the time from
Yes,
top, so they kind of keep
they can.
it.
Okay.
And lid also helps in retaining moisture.
Okay.
So when it's raining, it's good to open. But when it's not raining, the sun will dry up all your compost.
Yes,
So in that
it's-
case, it's good to keep it
close.
closed.
Yeah, but sun is also required to kind of
So because
use
these
that.
soil savers are black material, they take in lot of heat and
heat.
keep it
So
heated.
automatically it's taking in heat, so I don't have to keep it open.
Just like
Okay.
when you go in your car
Yes,
outside,
yes,
it's heated up.
It's heated
so
up.
Same
So
way it's heated
It's
inside.
heated up. Okay, okay, okay. Don't you think that is also kind of drying up things, or maybe it's kind of inside? If
Sorry,
it is
I didn't get it.
If it is too hot, like you're keeping your tumbler closed, but it's so hot outside that the material inside is already hot. So don't you think it starts drying out and maybe you're required to add a little water?
Yeah, so you have to keep
You have to
maintain
keep
the
checking
moisture.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Heat is good, 50-60 degrees Celsius is good inside the tumbler,
Okay.
but you have to keep it moist. If you are not adding water, it will not do anything. It will just dry out.
Okay.
Right. I have seen some people who tried composting and just thought, just tumbler needs little bit composting, sprinkling, and then it was not doing anything, and they gave up. So compost material has to be moist all the time
All the time.
to
Okay.
decompose.
To decompose all the time. Okay. But not too much water. If it is too much, it'll drain out. Yeah.
It will be smelly. Yeah,
It'll
it
be
will
smell-
drain out from
it'll
the
drain out.
yeah,
Okay.
tumbler.
If somebody, we stay in Canada, and 6 months of the time it's cold, it's winters, right? Can someone compost in winters?
Well, of course. So composting does not happen actively in winters.
Okay.
Right, because of the cold material, it still decomposes a little bit, but you will not see any active decomposition. So in winter you can still keep collecting your material, right?
Okay.
So because it is freezing temperature in winters here, right?
Yes, yes.
So you, like from October to February, whatever, you can still keep collecting, and it will freeze your material, and then if you don't collect in winters, you will not have enough material. If you only collect from April to September,
Yeah.
you will not have enough material. So
So you keep collecting.
composting happens in two phases. First phase is collection phase, right? You keep collecting, and then you stop adding more material to it.
Okay.
And then at that time it is only decomposing. After that time it takes 2 to 3 months to finally process completely to become compost.
So since I'm planning to buy tumbler composting, and if in case I want to do this in winter, can I keep this in garage and keep adding my pile to it? Is that possible, or do you think my garage will start smelling because of the compost?
It's not only smell, it will be messy as well because it has drains. We just talked about it. It will drain lot of water from the nitrogen material, right?
Oh really? Even if I'm not adding water to it, I'm just putting the brown,
So garage
the
temperature is
newspaper.
warm.
Yes.
Right?
No, it's not warm. Garage temperature is cold unless you have heated garage.
Still, I
In
think,
winters, I'm talking about winters when it
Yeah.
is snowing, right?
yeah, but in winter you cannot guarantee that it will always be -5 and freezing temperature. Sometimes it becomes 3, 4, 0.
Yeah.
In that case, you will have that slimy wet material, right?
Oh,
And
okay,
it might. So anyway, tumbler is messy for garage.
Oh,
we should
okay.
not bring
We should
it.
not bring it
I mean,
inside.
I don't know. This is my own opinion. Some
Okay,
people
okay.
might say that it's okay to bring in and make some arrangements. I would say keep collecting outside.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right?
That was my question. So keep collecting outside.
Keep collecting outside. So what I have seen with tumbler, like my friends are composting outside. So what I have seen in winter, tumbler freezes and you cannot even open the door of the tumbler to add material.
Oh, okay.
So for winter, what you can do, you can keep a simple bin, just like a big bucket size bin, and you keep adding your material there, right?
Okay.
And you can keep it closed, lid or whatever. And when it is April and your material thaws out, then you can add that material to your tumbler, and it start decomposing.
And it won't smell. I'm keeping
Outdoor,
it
it will
outside.
not smell.
Outdoor, it will not.
Yeah.
So like at times here in December also you're not getting snow, right? At times you get snow
Yeah,
in January because
yeah.
of global warming, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm keeping everything in a big bucket and I have a lid on top, do you think it's going to still smell? Funky
Well,
smell?
if it is, it's that, if you can handle that material and that means you can add it to your tumbler at that time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If the temperature is warmer, you don't have to keep it in your bucket. You can add it to your tumbler.
To your
If it
tumbler
is
straight away.
freezing and you
Okay,
can't
okay.
reach to your tumbler, you cannot access it, then only the bucket is a solution.
Okay. So should I be wearing my gloves when I'm dealing with composting and
Yeah,
all
so
of
you
this?
should do the same thing. You should treat compost same way as you treat soil.
Okay, okay.
If
So
you
use your
don't
bare
like
hand.
soil
Yeah.
and you wear gloves for treating soil, then you should wear gloves treating your handling
Okay.
your compost as well. But a lot of people love compost and then
They like
just
to, yeah,
love
because
it.
you're in touch with the nature kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay. How do you make, before we take a short break, how do we make, I want to understand, how do we make composting easy for busy people? People have so much, like they have to get up in the morning, go to work, prepare kids for school and everything, and then come back home and take care of the household, cooking and everything. So in this busy lifestyle, can you talk about how can we make this very easy?
Yeah. Actually, we have already talked a little bit about this as I call my composting lazy composting. And I have been composting for past 6 years. I have 3 kids, full-time job, 8 to 5 full-time job, and I do, other things as well, volunteering, etc. But I never think that I give lot of time, like composting take a lot of time from me. So what I do, you just need initial setup, right? Once you got your tumbler or a static bin, right? You just set it outside, and then you just start adding to it. What else are you doing? If you have a garden in the summer, you go to your garden, at the same time you just turn it once a week. That's it, and add water at that time. That's it. So what are you doing extra? If you are not composting, then you are adding your kitchen waste into either city bin or trash, whatever facility you have in your city. You are still doing that part, the same part you are doing in your backyard and dumping in there. What extra are you doing? Like,
Okay, and
what is
nothing extra.
overwhelming you? Tell me that.
Yeah. I think what I understand, I mean, from my own experience, before you, I mean, until you start doing, you feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
Right?
How anything
How
you start.
to, yeah, you feel overwhelmed. Okay, what kind of bin, where to keep, what to do, what to add, what not to add. Okay, what if it starts smelling? Wait, I mean, I want to throw it out because it's smelling. What do I do next, right? There are a lot of questions that keeps popping up, and probably that's the reason why we're having this conversation.
That's right.
So I think until someone starts, they will keep having those hesitations inside.
The first thing is, do you want to start composting? If someone wants to start composting, they can do it easily. And again, I would repeat myself, anything new you start a new job, or you bring your baby home very first time, or you learn driving car, anything becomes overwhelming, but you still do those things because you want to do this. You think it's an important part of your life, but you don't think like that for composting. If once you have thought that you have to do composting and you have done your setup, nothing is difficult.
Okay. Okay, on that note, let's take a quick break and then we'll get back to the next.
Wow, Swati asked great questions about basics and setup, which bins to start with. What is vermicomposting? I hope you have found a way for your own composting. But a lot more still needs to be covered. We have to talk about ingredients, process, troubleshooting. We are breaking this chat into 2 parts. We will come back with rest of the question. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.